The young Mets are here.
Is the Mets' young core gearing up to carry this team into the playoffs? I mean, we saw glimpses of it with Alvy coming back in a big way. Gigantic home run to tie this thing up in Game 2.
Brett Baty, it's a big 2-run home run on Monday. Gets the Mets right back in the ballgame. He had a great homestand altogether. Then you talk about Francisco Alvarez. Draws 2 walks, picks up a double in his return on Monday, and then he has the big game-tying home run on Tuesday. On Tuesday night, 7 of the 9 Mets in the lineup, homegrown guys. Ronnie Mauricio puts the ball in play, helps the Mets score the game-winning run on Monday. The Mets have so much young talent. I think there's more to come. We saw it this week against the Angels. It's going to keep on coming. The young Mets are here.
Welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. A quick reminder, guys, thank you so much for following along, listening, subscribing. As always, please give the podcast a 5-star review. Leave a rating and a review. It really goes a long way. I say it every week. Every week, you guys add more reviews. It helps us out so much. I'm Vito Calisi. That's Jonathan Barron. And we say it all the time. I'm going to say it again, John. The Mets are back.
Yeah, part 9, 10, whatever it might be. But
and to be continued.
But the Mets are 4-0 in the Pablo Sanchez era, which I know is starting to bubble up a little bit. Our friend Pablo from Backyard Baseball joined us on Sunday. The Mets defeated the Reds on Sunday. And ever since then, it's been nothing but winning ways for the Mets, and 3 different kinds of victories here in this series. On Monday night, the Mets were down 4-0 early. They got an incredible effort by Kevin Herget, who kept them in the game after Kodai Senga didn't have his best start. Gave the Mets offense time to catch up. Brett Baty hits the home run against the lefty Tyler Anderson. The Mets make it stand up. The late innings, the dramatics, Juan Soto single. Then the go-ahead run scored by Ron Mauricio putting a ball in play on Tuesday. A pitcher's duel, a 1-run game. Francisco Alvarez returns. He has the big 2-run home run to tie it. And then on Wednesday, it was Pete Alonso's big home run that really made the difference for the Mets as they complete a much-needed sweep, feeling like that dominant Mets team that we watched in April and May and parts of June as well. And it's big, Vito, because a huge California road trip coming up for the Mets. 3 in San Fran, followed by 3 in San Diego. And the Mets come back for 3 with San Fran. All good teams. So this weekend, or this week, I should say, very big for the Mets to take care of business like they did.
You said Big Vito, and I thought you were calling me Big Vito like this was
no. There was a comma.
Justice.
There was a comma. There was a comma there. Yeah, Oxford comma, Vito.
But we gotta give mention to I think one of the biggest things, and we'll do the top 5 later. And this isn't going to come up in the top 5, but the Chancla, the team has a home run trophy again, and I think that's such an important, vital part that this team was missing.
Yeah, and I know everyone's kind of wondering about it, and we're doing our investigative duties as well. So hopefully we get the story, but
we saw Alex Cohen post a picture of her wearing a gold chain chancla, so we know there's something there. We know there's some kind of story to be told.
There is some kind of story to be told. I wonder if it coincides with the return.
Coincides
with the return of Francisco Alvarez, which I really think is one of the 2 big stories of this 3-game series against the Angels. That and the efforts of Brett Baty. So for Francisco Alvarez to go down to AAA, mind you, after he hits a 450-foot home run in Philadelphia, he gets sent down. And I heard Mendy talk about this on Tuesday night after the game. He didn't pout. He didn't feel bad for himself. He just worked on things, and he just dominated AAA pitching. And we heard David Stearns talk about this during his homestand press conference on Monday, I think it was. The Mets plan to have him down in AAA perhaps a little bit longer than they did have him down there for, but he was just too good. And the offense, needed that extra little punch. And he came up and he was just that. He walked twice on Monday, had the big double, wound up scoring the go-ahead run. And then Tuesday, I mentioned the game-tying home run. The 2 walks for me are the most impressive parts of it. We know that he's a guy that can hit home runs. He had 25 home runs a couple seasons ago at the age of 21, but him coming up and not trying to be too aggressive, jump out of his shoes, be patient, and then strike an opposite field double, and then pull a home run, his first home run at Citi Field this season. It really looks like whatever happened down in AAA, I think a mental reset, a physical reset of sorts, it's paying dividends for the Mets so far, and this guy can be an X factor down the stretch. Then there's Brett Baty, Vito, who on Monday night, the 2-run home run against Tyler Anderson. Baty had a huge homestand. We know how good he's been all season at home. He continues that. He was asked, are you back to being more patient? And Brett goes, nope, I'm just being me. I'm just, feeling the way I did back in May, back in spring training when he had a great spring training, a great May. Brett Baty's a really good baseball player. Ebbs and flows, young players. It's not that tough. What do we always say? Player development, not linear. I think that's the case for those two gentlemen right there.
And one thing I want to bring up about Alvy is that I was almost happy that in that first at bat, he didn't come through. Like, there were runners in scoring position. It was a moment to kind of like take a big lead, get things going. And Alvy didn't come through in that moment. And instead of that becoming a trend that was going to like kind of like avalanche and snowball, instead Alvy comes back out and has an amazing game and then ends up being the hero of the game no matter what. And it's like kind of something we talked about like with minor leaguers. When minor leaguers struggle, when they first get down to the minor leagues, how sometimes it's kind of good to get it done early because it's the first time some of these guys struggle. I'm so happy that he came up. That happened right off the bat, and then he was able to mentally just get past it and move on to the next thing and have that goldfish mentality that is like so important. Something we've seen from Juan Soto a lot this year, where Juan Soto is able to just forget whatever happened in a previous at bat, move on to the next moment, and no moment is too big for him. Even if he doesn't come through in one moment, he'll come out the next day, come out the next at bat, and it just doesn't seem like it mentally hits him like it does for some other players. But
well, how about Lindor, right? Lindor goes the 0 for 31 drought, and we talked about this probably last month, that he's the kind of guy, he doesn't take yesterday's struggles into today.
No.
He's had the ultimate success at the major league level. He's played in the World Series. He's hit postseason grand slams. He has 3 of them. So a guy like that, when he's struggling, when it's not all working at the plate, he is able to flush it. And I think that is the key for so many guys. And I think that a lot of players in the history of the sport, the ones that have not been able to flush it are the ones that ultimately did not have success over the long run. Look, if you make the major leagues, you got there because you're a great baseball player. You got there because you're the cream of the crop. You always were, whether little league, t-ball, middle school, high school, college, if you went to college, like you are that guy. Minor leagues, how many guys play minor league ball, never make the majors? Once you get there, it's because you're God-given talent. Then a lot of it is the mental skills, and that's why so many of these teams have mental skills coaches. That's why so many guys get mental rest days, because it is such an important element of the game. I know it's not quantifiable, and I like to talk more about things that are quantifiable. But when you have a guy like Francisco Lindor, who is going through an 0 for 31 drought, and you're able to just each at bat is a new, fresh page. And then on Wednesday, 2 hits, couple RBI. Now he gets on the team plane, going out west, feeling good about himself. Looking forward to Francisco Lindor, who, by the way, had a pretty big series in San Francisco last year. And I'm looking forward to Pete Alonso going out west. He's a guy that makes any stadium look small, but especially San Diego. We know Pete loves hitting at Petco. You go back to some of those Chris Paddock battles back in 2019. The reigning NL, Rookie of the Month. April of 2019 will never change. Sorry, Chris Paddock.
I remember that you brought this up in spring training to Andy Green.
I did.
He was there was a few things he was taken aback by that interview, but I remember
Mets fans, don't forget April 2019 NL Rookie of the Year.
So how do you feel from a production standpoint right now, getting things ready for the in-game show? How do you feel about the record? Do you think the record is going to wait till Pete comes home, or are you getting nervous that there's a chance, because Pete hits in clusters?
Mm-hmm. He does, and he hit a nuke on Wednesday. I don't think that you can really think about it. I mean, that's the reactionary perspective. Like, how about Pete? I'm sure he wants to do it in front of the Mets fans.
Yeah, and you have to guess, like a 6-game road trip. Like, it seems like the odds are in our favor of this should happen at home.
Yeah, it's 6, and then they come home for 6, and then they go back on the road.
And he has to hit 5.
He's 5 away. You know what? No matter what, it's going to be a great moment. And if he does it on the road, he's going to get a hero's welcome and a very nice ceremony when he comes back here. We'd love for him to do it here. But, if he goes and hits 6 home runs on a 6-game road trip in California and helps the Mets win a bunch of baseball games, I think everyone will sign up for that as well. So no matter what, he's obviously closing in. We're obviously all very excited for him to do it. We just celebrated David Wright this past weekend, and we're really excited to celebrate another great moment in franchise history.
And the things that those two players have in common is they're homegrown guys, and this is such an important series for homegrown Mets, because we're seeing this lineup get dominated by guys that grew up in this Mets system.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing days where you can have 7 guys. You can have 7 guys in a starting lineup on a Mets team that all came up in the system. And I feel like there's guys that like almost people even forget. I feel like there's that young Mets core of Baty, Alvy, Vientos, obviously Luis Angel Acuna, Mauricio.
Not technically one of them. Not technically one of them.
Well, yes, technically Luis Angel Acuna is not homegrown. Was grown somewhere else, but imported over here.
Made his debut here.
Yes, but I feel like people forget that like Jeff is a homegrown Met because he's been here for so long.
Yeah, I mean, he has been in the organization for quite a while. He made his debut back in 2018. But yeah, you said it. What we've seen, especially this week, is, Tuesday night, 7 of the 9 guys in the Mets starting lineup, all homegrown. And then the 2 that weren't are Lindor and Soto, who, Soto's 26 years old. He's like virtually the same age as a Mark Vientos. And Francisco Lindor has been here since 2021, signed the long contract. So when it's all said and done, I think he might have an NY on his hat on that Hall of Fame plaque that is very much so in reach. But yeah, it's really neat to see what the Mets have done and how much the impact is being felt by the player development system, the homegrown guys making the impact all series long. Ronnie Mauricio in the 8th inning, runner on third, less than 2 outs. Yes, there was a bad throw made by Yoan Moncada that allowed the go-ahead run to score on Monday in the comeback, but Mauricio doesn't put the ball in play. You don't put the pressure on the defense to make the perfect throw. Moncada moving towards the line, backing up behind the third base bag, has to throw a strike, not a force play. And Logan O'Hoppe isn't able to field the throw and put the tag on, and Brett Baty is safe. So that's a great job right there. Mark Vientos has come alive. He had a double on Wednesday. Jeff McNeil has been so great. We keep talking about Jeff McNeil's impact, obviously Pete Alonso, but it's really cool to see, especially the younger crop. Like I think it was the 2020, either 2020 or 2021 top 10 in the Mets prospect rankings according to MLB.com. Those guys are making impacts right now for the Mets. And you look at right now who those guys are. Guys like Carson Bench. On the pitching side, the Sproats, the McLeans, the Tongs. There is so much happening. And I always say it all the time here. I mean, at the Apple, but it is so very true. The cohesion with acquiring players via trade, via free agency, and the growing from the ground up, because the Mets have done such a great job drafting, scouting internationally, making trades, acquiring prospects, whether it was a couple years ago and the Mets decided to move some pieces at the deadline when it was clear they weren't going to contend. Those guys come into play. Ryan Clifford's a guy who's going to make an impact. Marco Vargas, the guy that got at the deadline. Ronald Hernandez, the guy that got the deadline. Luis Angel Acuna, a guy that got at the trade deadline. So it's all just coming together so beautifully, and I look forward to seeing more of that homegrown talent as we move forward. And the trade deadline's coming up, and the Mets are really in a power position because they truly do have one of the better farm systems in all of baseball. And those are also player development wins. When you could turn prospects, player assets into major league talent that can help you win right now. I'm sure there are a couple guys the Mets do not want and will not trade under any circumstance, the quote-unquote untouchable, if you will. But it's just all going on right now in this organization. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, I mean, a stacked organization is so much more than just having like 5 guys at the top. The Mets have had years where they had like 3 guys at the top of the system and then nothing else. Right now, the Mets are in a spot where there's so much they have within the system that they can give up 5, 6 guys, and it's not going to completely just demolish what they've built over the last few years. Yeah. It's a crazy time to be a Mets fan when it comes to that. We've been talking about this since 2023.
And you need to be able to have the 20 to 30 in the prospect rankings that other teams want, because you do not want to get rid of your top guys. Now, I'm not going to sit here and speculate who those top guys are, who the guys the Mets are just saying to other teams, they're off limits, forget it, non-starters. But usually it's the teams that are rebuilding that have those, they're off limits, forget it, non-starter guys. Yoan Moncada was once that guy for the Boston Red Sox. And the Red Sox traded Moncada to the White Sox in the Chris Sale deal. And Chris Sale helped the Red Sox win a World Series in 2018. He was out there on the mound when he recorded the final out of that World Series. And, for Yoan Moncada, he went to the White Sox. He was the prized possession there. I was actually at his White Sox debut randomly one night at a Guaranteed Rate Field. And I remember the excitement around Moncada's White Sox debut. But it didn't work out. But usually the teams that have the non-touchable guys are the teams that need those guys to pan out because they're part of the future and they are like reliant upon. The Mets aren't reliant upon that necessarily. Yes, of course, you want sustainability. You want guys to come up. You want young, controllable talent. That's what everyone wants. Of course, those players are relatively cheaper. You're not paying them the $30, $40 million contracts. Maybe get that production. But if you could have both, that's how you win.
We heard David Wright was almost traded in his minor league career.
Jose Reyes was allegedly almost traded for Jose Cruz Jr. once upon a time.
Well, you heard David Wright even approach Andy Martino about it during his press conference about how he was allegedly almost traded for Carlos Beltran.
Well, I mean, that would have been silly, but but these are, David Wright was wanted by the Royals because he was
But
coveted.
That's the point. The point was like David Wright was a top prospect who the team saw something in, but even he wasn't untouchable because they were like, we want to win it. We want to win now. This is what you got to do. And I'm not, like John said, I'm very interested to see what happens in the next few weeks, but I think it's safe to say this isn't going to be like 2021 where you're staring at the TV waiting for the deadline to hit, and then you see the names that come through and you're like, what just happened? I'm not saying any names. I'm not.
No. I mean, it's July 23rd, so we're 8 days away, and we still have not seen a single strike across the bow by any team. Like, not even a reliever. At this time last year, Phil Maton was already a Met. Moves start to happen. The Tyler Clippard trade, I think, happened a little earlier before the trade deadline, back in 2015, for instance. We have not seen a single move made, and I think that there are some teams that are still kind of in that middle, that very gray area. Should we trade? Should we hold? Should we buy? What are we in this grand scheme of things? It's a buyer's market, but I think it's always going to be a buyer's market with the new wild card because more teams have the not the illusion, but believe that they are alive in the race. And, so for that reason, I think that we're not really going to see a lot of the activity come until probably Monday, Tuesday, and next week. Maybe we'll see the first move. And then I think you're going to really start to see other teams say, okay, well, if Team A did that and I'm competing with Team A, then I got to do this. And then Team B makes that trade. And then Team C is going to come along and say, well, we're going to pony up here. And hey, you know what? Flags fly forever. That is true. But at the same time, you got to be strategic. And, that's why the deadline's a crazy time of the year, and that's why it is a very stressful job to be in a Major League Baseball front office.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you go over to that side right now, and you see people who are just, like, locked 100% in.
And everyone's watching everybody else.
Yeah. And we talked to David Stearns right after the trade deadline last year, and I remember he said most of his staff was living off of Media Cafe
Old
popcorn. Yeah.
Old popcorn.
That's all people were eating last year because they were just here all hours watching every game. But one guy we haven't had a chance to talk too much about on the show this year, Frankie Montas, obviously after the Subway Series, got to talk about him a little bit, like the performance he had in game two, the performance he had in game two, almost went 6 innings, which this team really needed right now, but still, even getting to 5 2/3, just getting to that level where you're not putting such a tax on the bullpen because this bullpen is working in overtime right now. Frankie Montas comes out, overpowers the Angels, and we're getting the auxiliary, we're getting the army, we're getting that people that whole thing we said all year, like this is going to come, and when is it happening? Happening at the deadline.
It is. Sean Minaya, you can add to that. He's been really good since he returned. Another strong outing, completes 5 for the first time on Wednesday afternoon. For Frankie, outside of the Pittsburgh start, he's been really good. ERA, I think just a little under 3. So you take away that one rough outing in Pittsburgh where, he said he was tipping pitches and the Mets worked on it. It seems to have corrected itself. He beat the Yankees. He is a guy who he doesn't need to be the quote unquote ace of the staff. Another guy, just go out there and give your team a chance to win a baseball game. And, he's done just that outside of the Pittsburgh start. He has been really good for this team. Reed Garrett, he played a huge role on Tuesday in the victory after the Mets took the lead. Reed Garrett shut the door, handed the ball off to Ryan Stanek. Obviously Edwin Diaz was not available on Tuesday after pitching Sunday and Monday. Reed Garrett, since that tough outing, game 1 of the doubleheader against the Brewers back on July 2nd, he's allowed just 1 run in his last 7 outings, a guy who has just totally bounced back, has totally gotten himself back to his dominant ways. And Brooks Reilly, who, I hate to say it, and I know a lot of fans hate to say it, and I get why fans hate to hear it, but it is true that the return of Brooks Reilly is an addition for a lefty reliever that, yes, the Mets had a guy like that in AJ Minter. He went down. The Mets didn't really have that role fulfilled. Brandon Waddell, more of a long guy as swingman. We've seen him be used as the bulk guy in opener games. Brooks Reilly is the lefty reliever that can come out of the bullpen and get you out of a jam and get righties out, even as the lefty, not worrying about the platoon matchup whatsoever. He has been really good in his 3 games since he returned. So the Mets bullpen getting a bit stronger. Jose Butto returned to the Mets on Wednesday after he was sidelined by an illness. He is back now. So the rotation has gotten the reinforcements we've been waiting for with the returns of Montas and Minaya and Senga, of course. And now the bullpen is starting to get a little bit stronger as well. There are some pieces down in AAA that could also possibly come and help the Mets when over time. So things are coming together for this Mets team. Pete Alonso puts a good swing on one. Maybe he's breaking out of it a little bit. Francisco Lindor has the big day as the Mets sweep the Los Angeles Angels, and they will head west, feeling good about themselves. What more can you ask, Vito?
I look back to last year, and I kept thinking about that Angels series where
we were pissed.
we were pissed.
Well, we weren't pissed, but Mets fans weren't feeling good.
I was furious. What are you talking about? They had this like huge comeback. JD Martinez hits a grand slam.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they end up losing that game. I was leaving a K-pop concert here, like
Rain delayed K-pop concert.
a very rain delay K. But like it's so funny seeing this year just the Mets come in and just do business against the Angels like they should, and an Angels team that is significantly better than last year's Angels team too. And John, we'll get into the top 5 in a second, but I don't know if like this was the same for you. This was the first time I've gotten to see Mike Trout live because every time I've went to Yankee Stadium, he's been hurt. And this was the first time I actually finally got to see Mike Trout live. I was pumped.
Yeah, I think he played here in 2017, one of the two.
Yeah.
2017, 2018.
I didn't come though I didn't come.
Yeah, I know in 2023 when the Angels were here, he was hurt at that time.
And then I kept trying to go at Yankee Stadium, but it would never work out or like he would be hurt. And then I'm glad the Mets won today because like it is cool. Like I'm glad I got to see a Mike Trout home run. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 396. He's now 1 RBI shy of 1,000 for his career.
Would it have been nice to see that? If it didn't affect the outcome of the game.
I guess. I mean, I have nothing against Mike Trout. Great baseball player.
You have a picture with him.
That's right. I did meet Mike Trout. That's right. I forgot about that back in Houston in 2022. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Mike Trout is just one of the forgotten superstars for a couple of reasons. Number one, just a more reserved guy.
Yeah.
And obviously,
injuries,
playing
like we just said.
injuries,
Like,
but also, I mean, when's the last time he played in the playoffs?
Yeah.
2014 is the answer to that question. So that's a shame because for, 6-7 years, he was the best player
and that was
in
his
baseball.
rookie year, right?
No, he came up in 2012.
2012, okay.
Yeah, I think 2011 he had a cup of coffee, but 2012 I think was his first full season
Rookie,
in
yeah.
baseball. So, but no, it was cool to see him. But you know what? The Mets did a great job against Mike Trout.
100%.
He struck out, they struck him out, I should say, in some big spots. Stanek with the tying run on base got him to end the game.
Brooks Reilly, game 3.
Jammed him. Yep, Reilly did a good job against Trout, represented the tying run, I think, in the 7th inning. So, say what you want, but Trout really is the biggest threat in the Angel lineup. Of course, Joe Adell is a guy you got to worry about. Taylor Ward's a big bat in the middle of that lineup, but Mike Trout, the guy you circle. And the Mets pitching really did a good job with Mike Trout. But yes, it is cool to see Mike Trout play here. It's always fun to see those guys, especially the guys that you don't usually see in the American League. So that is neat and fun.
Yeah, I'm all about everybody plays everybody throughout the year now. I like it because I get to see a guy like Mike Trout. Like,
yeah, it's a give and a take, right? Because then the division games. Like the Phillies series at late August.
Yeah.
That's going to be crazy. But I wish the Phillies came here 3 times instead of just 2 times. They came here in late April. They don't come back until late August. I wish we had them in, the middle of June or the middle of July also. But that's changed because everyone plays everyone.
Not to get off topic, and to go back to our rule changing segment that we did last week and we're doing again now.
Right.
So we've talked about realignment. We've done all that. But would you give up playing every team in the NL twice if you played your division more? So kind of a similar system where you play an NL team once at home or on the road, but you play division more.
Yeah, I think I would. But if we go my way and we realign to 4 divisions of, add 2 teams, 4 divisions of 8, then you could get more creative and you could have more of the games. You could play everybody, but you could also play more games against your division. So that's one of the 5 things I might change. And on that topic,
we're gonna get.
I had to get us there.
I swear to you, I was.
Were you? That was next, right?
I swear to you, I was going to bring it up.
That was next.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, then we were on the same page, and that's good, right? Right, Ty. It's good to be on the same page,
right, Ty? Ty, clean episode so far. Maybe a few hiccups. All right.
I don't think so.
Now I think it's a perfect time to bring up the top 5 moments of Mets Angels presented by PC Richard & Son. And this was one of those series where there's a whole lot of moments. There's definitely going to be some honorable mentions we bring up after, but I'm going to start off. Number 5, Brandon Nimmo's leadoff home run to kick off Game 3, to just put things in action, put the pedal to the metal to start after 2 days of starting from behind, being able to start with a lead. Fantastic. And Brandon Nimmo's on that trajectory to have that career high number that you predicted before the start of the year.
He is. I mean, Wednesday afternoon after a night game, you don't know how it's going to shake out. We always have the Mets win games 1 and 2, and you never want to lose Game 3, lose that momentum. But Brandon Nimmo had no stopping in momentum. Gets the Mets on the board immediately against the lefty. Mind you, Brandon Nimmo, one of the best lefties against lefties in baseball, proved it right there to start it. Number 4, that's not the number we're talking about. It's number 248. I'm talking about Pete Alonso, hitting career home run, number 248, an absolute rocket. Gave the Mets a 5-1 lead, a lead that they would not let go. And for Pete, one big swing, feeling good about himself, goes out west. Like I said, he's got great career numbers in San Fran. We know he loves playing against the Padres. Pete Alonso creeping up on the Mets' all-time home runs record, but a huge home run to really solidify the victory on Wednesday for New York.
All right, the number 3 moment, I'm actually going to let the listeners choose between two. You could choose Edwin Diaz's save in Game 1, where he recorded his 800 strikeout, or you can choose his 4-out save from Game 3. Because at the end of that game on Game 3, it just, like, look, obviously a series win during the season is a series win, but a sweep does feel good, and to keep that win streak going, to win 4 in a row is so important. So it's tough for me. I don't know which one is the top moment, so I'm going to give it up to the listeners. I'm going to say, if you're listening right now, comment below.
I'll tell you what I think.
Okay, what do you think?
I think it's got to be the Game 2 striking out the side save, because Edwin reaches 800 career saves, and he became the 4th fastest pitcher by virtue of innings pitched to reach 800 strikeouts by any player, by any pitcher, I should say, in Major League history. What an impressive feat by Edwin. And also the way that inning ended with the fastball that buzzed the tower, and then he just bends a slider over there. I think it was Taylor Ward. I forget who the batter was, but he had no chance against that slider, and Edwin kind of laughed about it with Francisco Alvarez after the final out was recorded.
Dude, Edwin has the best facial reactions of, I think, any pitcher on the planet, because after the buzz, you actually see him give a little ooh,
got
almost
away,
hit him.
got away.
Ooh, almost hit him.
Got away.
And then the giggle after he got him looking on just something basically straight down the middle.
No chance there. And obviously, he's not trying to hit a guy because
No,
you have a
of
2-run
course
lead.
not.
You're not trying to bring the tying run up to the plate whatsoever, but it all worked out so perfectly. So my vote is for Tuesday, but a great job by Edwin on Wednesday. And once again, Carlos Mendoza being aggressive, not being afraid. We saw him on Sunday.
Monday.
I'm talking about on Wednesday, excuse me, bringing Diaz in for the 4-out save. Mets are off on Thursday. We saw him bring him in on Sunday to get Ellie and then brought him back for the 9th inning as well. So Carlos Mendoza continues to pick his spots where he wants to really deploy the best relief pitcher in baseball in the biggest of spots. Number 2 moments, Mets, Angels. 7th inning, Monday night, Mets down. Francisco Lindor steals second base, a very unheralded point of this series, representing the tying run, gets himself into scoring position after hitting into a fielder's choice with the bases loaded. Juan Soto comes up with a big hit against the lefty, a ground ball through the middle. Those ground balls were not finding grass, outfield grass, I should say, the first couple of months for Juan Soto. He is finding the batted ball luck, and that is why he is the kind of player that we know he can be. It's all working in his favor, right? The regression to the mean in his favor. That is a good example of it. Coming up with the game-tying hit, Citi Field absolutely becoming unglued. The Mets coming back 4-0 down, no problem. Juan Soto, another clutch hit for this Mets. That's a number 2 moment. What's number 1?
The only more clutch moment in the series, Game 1, Francisco Alvarez. The fans not only give him this gigantic reception once he makes his return to the Mets lineup, but Francisco Alvarez comes up in a huge moment and ties the game up with a bomb. And you just are so happy to see Alvy pulling the ball again, doing what you want to see Alvy do, putting the Mets right back into that game. And it's those comeback wins that we've been dying to see that we just lived off of last year.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Hendricks had the Mets lineup a little bit confused. A guy that, doesn't really break glass with his fastball. He has the lowest average four-seam fastball velocity, has for a while. I mean, this guy was starting games in the 2016 World Series for the Chicago Cubs. He's been around for a long time, but Francisco Alvarez got the big hit the Mets needed. That inning was started by Brett Baty. 2 outs, nobody on. Baty doubles, keeps the line moving, gets Alvarez to the plate. Alvarez deposits one into the left field seats. We know how bad Mets fans want to see this kid succeed. We saw the ovation he got when he returned on Monday night. He turns that pitch around. Like you said, a huge clutch home run. And then I want to shout out, I talked about Lindor stealing a base, getting himself in a scoring position. After the Alvarez home run, Ronnie Mauricio singled up the middle, and then he stole a base, and then Brandon Nimmo singled him in, and that proved to be the game-winning run. So on both Monday and Tuesday, Mets base runners stole a base that proved to be massive, the tying run on Monday night and the go-ahead eventual winning run on Tuesday night. The Mets fielded the ball well in this series. They ran the bases well. They got the big hit when they needed it. They hit for some power. They played the kind of baseball we saw the Mets play when they had success in April and May and parts of June. And that's why, Vito, I'm so excited to see what this team is going to do out west. A huge 9-game stretch coming up here. Giants, Padres, Giants. Bad news. Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. I saw that.
Yeah.
I literally
did you not know that until today?
No, I literally was getting food and
That's
I
a
looked
thing.
up at the screen and I went,
Yep.
John and I are gonna have to talk about that.
I'll be on California time, so I'll be fine.
Oh, you going to California?
I'm flying out on Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are going to see the presentation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But another moment, we just kind of mentioned it before, but also just the Mets give up the lead, game gets tied back up, and then Francisco Lindor comes up in a huge moment, takes back the lead. And it's just those things that we've like not been seeing as much this year, where the Mets give up a lead and they come right back and they take it back. We've been missing that. We've been missing that flair of the team from last year that is kind of coming back right now. And it's definitely not because of a Sandal. It's not because of a Chancla. But like you're starting to see these things that are just reminiscent of like what is happening when a team is vibing and everybody is kind of feeling themselves and things are happening. And there's something special happening right now, like the amount of fans that just came through here the last few days.
Things change so frequently from day to day, series to series, week to week, month to month, whatever it might be. It is one continuous story. And right now, the Mets are at the high, and hopefully they can keep it rolling in San Diego and San Francisco. And, they've got the pitching matchups they want. Clay Holmes will take the ball for the Mets. The rotation is deep again. The bullpen is getting deep again, like we said. The offense is clicking. More guys starting to heat up. We know Francisco Lindor is going to get hotter and hotter. We know he's not, the kind of player that he's not. He's a great hitter. He's a great player.
Yeah.
Great baseball player. Hall of Famer. So very excited to see what is in store for this Mets team.
I'm excited to see the store.
Yeah.
What store is this?
I know you like clothes.
I do.
I know you like stores. I like stores too.
Who doesn't like stores?
Who am I kidding?
But we should mention, we didn't even bring this up yet in the episode. We will be ending this episode with an interview we did with Mitch Voit, the Mets' first pick in the 2025 draft. Mitch, really good kid. We got a chance to sit with in this very room. I'm excited to see the start of a Mets career. The lucky number 38 worked out for this team before. Hopefully it works out for this team again.
Yeah, Mitch, obviously a very exciting prospect, a two-way player in college from University of Michigan, not Michigan University. Guy that can play second base, can play third base, great athlete, very exciting. It was really cool meeting the kid. Definitely star material, I think. So excited to see what the future has in store, and take a listen to our conversation with Mitch Voit.
Welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. I'm Vito Calisi. That's Jonathan Barron. And today we got a special guest because fresh out of the 2025 MLB draft, the Mets' first pick, Mitch Voit. Mitch, you're walking into Citi Field. You're embarking on your pro career. What's it feel like to walk into this building right now?
It feels incredible. And all I can think about is looking up in the stands at a ton of Mets fans, just looking down and watching you play.
The reception from the Mets fans, what has it been like on social media? Obviously, Mets fans were very excited when your name was called. And you got to the city, I'm assuming today, not too long ago. What's it been like, your interactions with Mets fans so far?
It's been incredible, especially on social media. I've seen that the New York Mets fans are embracing me, and I'm so happy about it.
Now, you said you looking up the picture of looking up the stands this weekend. It's a big weekend because David Wright's number is being retired. And do you know about the trivia fact that connects you two?
That we were both the 38th pick?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I do.
So just like knowing kind of the lineage, seeing that, like, is that the kind of thing that inspires you? Like, you see that you have this one commonality. Is that the kind of thing that, like, you'll put in the back of your mind and be looking at as you embark on your career?
It'll definitely be a driving force, for sure. And, those guys who came before you who have left such a legacy, it does inspire you, and it makes you want to be that much better.
Now, you played third base in college. You also pitched. You're going to focus on being a position player moving forward here. But your time as a pitcher, how do you think that helped you as an overall baseball player?
It gives you more knowledge on all aspects of the game. There's never a time where I feel like being at a different spot is a disadvantage to me. Like pitching, I can always use those little things that I picked up. Whether I saw a video on Instagram today, actually, a kid rounded third base inside the baseline, and the third baseman had no chance to throw it to the catcher. And I was like, I just throw a curveball, like little things like that.
Your coach, Tracy Smith, I heard talking with SNY and talked about your flexibility and how determined you are to win. And that when you got moved over to first base, you were fine, even though that it could have impacted your draft numbering, that you were like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. So how important is that to you? And how much of an honor do you hold that to yourself, that no matter what, you'll do whatever it takes to win?
That's just always the way I've been. I want our team to be better than the other team, and I want us to beat them every time. Every time we step out on the field, I want our team to be the one who ends up on top, and it's just part of that.
Vito mentioned Tracy Smith, a guy who's turned out a lot of big league talent. What were some of the biggest things you learned playing for Tracy?
Yeah, Skip, he's taught me so much, actually. And the biggest thing that I can say that coming into this year that he really drilled into my head was it was a way to contribute to the team more so by being able to get on base more and just being able to put the ball in play. And that was something he really emphasized, like, this is something that you need to drill down.
So you grew up in Milwaukee, right? You spent a lot of years there. Guessing you grew up a Brewers fan.
Yes.
Last year, 3-game wild card. Pete Alonso walks to the plate. You had to be rooting against him, weren't you?
I'm not going to say no comment. No comment. Yeah.
Smart. Media trained already. Who were some of your favorite Brewers growing up?
Brian Braun.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to copy his swing when I was like 5 years old, and I guess it worked.
And you also have another Brewer connection. You grew up playing with Craig Counsell's son, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
How close are you with the Counsell family?
Really close, actually. They are outstanding people, outstanding family.
All right. I asked you this before we started. I'm going to bring it up again. Big Ten's got a lot of great cities. Ann Arbor's one of them. What was your favorite Big Ten city to visit, and why?
I have to say Bloomington, just because it was similar to Ann Arbor, to where it was a small college town, and just the feel of it. I mean, you get a sense of the atmosphere when you go away on these trips, and I really liked it over there. But I'd trade nothing for Ann Arbor.
That's fine. I respect that. You gave the right answer. I am a Hoosier. Tracy Smith was the coach of Indiana when Kyle Schwarber and Kyle Hart and many other great players were there. So that's a good answer. Good job.
I should have said State College.
Nah. You shouldn't have said State College.
So I want to go back to your recovering from your injury. You had surgery, and this is something we talked to Jet Williams and Drew Gilbert about last year, about how sometimes when you have to deal with an injury, it kind of helps you because it changes your mindset, and it gives you this whole other aspect of having to recover and having to deal with the elements. So what would you say you learned from the process of having to come back from that?
There were a lot of things that went into it. Number one, after the injury, I knew that the next season I would be coming back as just a position player. So that freed up a ton of space in my mind to just think about all these little things that are going to help me out. And it also gave me a chance to kind of rebuild myself and do all these little ideas in the cages that I've always had and always thought about, well, what if I did this? And, through a ton of trial and error, I was able to come out this season ready to go, basically. And it was a blessing in disguise. Obviously, it's sad when it happens, but it was all for the best.
Obviously, you're a great athlete, being able to pitch and both play a position. What were some other sports you played growing up? I'm assuming you're a football guy.
Actually, that was more so just with my brothers and
Okay.
at recess. I would say I was a recess All-American.
I like that one.
But basketball too, again with my brothers, my dad. But it was a lot of baseball and a lot of basketball.
He's trying to throw full force.
If that happens, I promise you, I will touch 100 miles an hour. I promise.
I don't know if Skip's going to like that. I feel like the point is to not have someone that's throwing 100. Position player goes in, throwing that ephus. Did you throw an ephus when you were in college?
No, I didn't actually. I should have. I should have tried it out.
Yeah, I think that makes you more qualified as the position player coming to clean up the blowout. We want Mets fans to get to know you a little bit better, so we have some questions and a little thing we like to call Meet the Met. So pretty rapid fire questions. First one, what is your pregame go-to meal?
Oh, if it's in the morning, I do an egg, turkey, and cheese on a bagel.
What about a 7:00 game?
7:00 game. They always put out pasta for us.
Got to carb up.
Yeah.
What's the first big purchase going to be?
I bought my mom a Chanel bag, and that's as far as I've thought ahead of big purchases.
That's
but
classy.
And I like that answer. That it's for somebody else. It wasn't for you. And it was for mom. And I'm sure mom really helped you get to where you are right now.
I promised her when I was a kid. I guess she swindled me into promising her that I'd buy her purses. And then, so that was the first one that I gave her.
What was your walk-up song at UM?
It was a 50 Cent song.
Which
If
one?
I Can't.
Oh,
And it was just,
homie, I can't be done. That's a good one. Are you going to keep that, you think, moving forward?
No, I'm gonna figure something out.
All right.
I'll probably get some from a Queens rapper.
What's your dream car?
Oh, I never thought that far. Something stick shift. That was something all my brothers and my dad had known how to do. So when I came into driving, that's how I learned.
Do you want to hear something funny? I learned how to drive 2 years ago. You didn't have to laugh like that. Was actually pretty mean.
And it's not a stick shift.
Well, were you in New York the whole
Yeah, I
time?
grew up.
Okay,
I grew up
okay,
in the
then
city.
that's fair.
I learned how to drive 2
Yeah.
years ago from Mr. Carlos from
Okay.
Hawaii Driving School.
If you weren't a baseball player, what would you be? And is it a driving instructor?
If I wasn't a baseball player, it's a good question. If I was 6'6", I'd be a basketball player.
Okay.
But no, honestly, I'd probably use all the Michigan connections that I have to be in New York.
I got another one. Who's a non-baseball inspiration for you?
My dad. Well, I mean, I guess it was through baseball too, but just growing up watching it.
Yeah, I read a story that your dad taught you that if you weren't around to have a catch with you, he said throw a tennis ball against the
stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that's something that you wound up doing and it helped you? I take
a
it.
ton. Yeah. And I'm not saying we didn't get to play catch because he'd come home from work and I'd have his glove ready for him at the door. And he wouldn't even have a chance to go inside. But when he wasn't home and he was working, I'd be against those stairs.
So you're getting ready to head to Florida, check out the complex. What are some goals you're getting ready for this year?
Well, I can't wait to figure out sort of plan that me and the Mets staff are going to be able to put together as far as player development goes. And I'm excited to get into the thick of it.
And the Mets, the last 2 years leading up to your draft, a couple of years ago, took Nolan McLean from Oklahoma State as a two-way player. He's now one of the top pitching prospects in the organization. Carson Benj last year, who's now on the offensive side of the ball only. And yourself, how encouraging is it to know that the Mets have, number one, been looking for these great athletes? And there are two examples in recent times, and these guys have shot up to the top of the system, and that you're in the same player development system as guys who were kind of like you.
It's incredible to know that they want you for a reason and that they have a plan for you. And it all comes down to just how hard am I going to work to be like those guys.
And you mentioned Carson Benj followed you the second you got drafted,
Yeah,
right?
no, that was really cool, actually. Yeah,
Did you guys DM at all, or just following? You'll see each other at work.
probably we'll see each other at work, but that was really nice of him to do that right after.
There's a lot of college football rivalries budding in this organization right now. I mean, that clubhouse, I just saw him. Pete Alonso, huge Gator fan.
Really?
Huge Gator fan.
Half that clubhouse is Gators, it feels like.
Yeah, we lost Bader in the offseason.
Yeah, but Jesse Winker was almost a Gator.
Mhm.
I think Nimmo said he was recruited by the Gators, but obviously didn't go there.
Danny Young was a Florida Gator. Just mentioned some Oklahoma State Cowboys. So how big of a UM football guy are you, by the way?
Strictly just focusing on Michigan football and when we beat Ohio State.
He had to say. I don't think we have any Ohio State guys in New York, do we? Nope. So you could say that. It's no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us. We know it's a big day, and we're just excited to see the start of this journey. And, we look forward to seeing you next year when we come down to spring training.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, thanks so much for listening to that interview in this episode of Meet at the Apple. I'm Vito Calisi. That's Jonathan Barron. One last reminder, please give us those 5-star reviews. Actually, write out a review, write a nice comment, leave something right down there because it goes a very long way. It helps us a lot. Every week I check and I see a few more reviews. It means a lot, and we really appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Vito F. Calisi, John at JMB9191. And we'll see you next time at the Apple. But first, we do want to remind you about our good buddies over at PC Richard & Son.
Yeah, that's our whistle friend. And you guys got to check out your local PC Richard & Son, where they have the absolute lowest prices, guaranteed the friendliest, the most knowledgeable sales staff. Whatever it is you need. You need a microphone? They got it. You need a camera? They've got it. TVs, appliances, washer, dryer, air conditioning, ovens, anything it is, they have it, and you got to check it out. They have been doing it for longer than anybody else in the game, since 1909. So check out your local PC Richard & Son store. Our friends here on Meet at the Apple. Mets sweep the Angels. They're headed out west. Vito and I are going to have to figure out when we're recording that episode after the Giants series, but we will. We always get it done.
It'll be out Monday.
It'll be out Monday. Yeah, by hook or by crook, it'll be out Monday. So no matter what it is, check it out. Thanks for joining us this time on Meet at the Apple. We'll see you next time at the Apple.